Giving feedback often fills us with trepidation, but there's no getting away from it, particularly in the workplace and specifically in a management position. It's tricky because we don't know how the other person is going to react. We've probably all got experiences of where we've given it in the past and it didn't go well. So that adds to the fear that history will be repeated. We want feedback to be effective and long-lasting, not necessarily a telling off. Even saying to someone you want to give them feedback can start the wheels falling off. So you need to gauge whether you say you want to chat with someone, discuss something, or be more on the nose and call it feedback. The quality of your relationship will determine the best approach for this. There are many models out there you can use, some very similar, but the simplest and probably the easiest is the AID model, and it's very effective indeed. Action, impact, do. The do might be do the same or do differently. There are 6 key factors that need to be considered before giving feedback. 1, know your desired outcome. Are you clear about what you want to say for them to understand? If you are, you can be more to the point and explain it better. 2, know yourself. If you're aware of yourself, you'll know when it's a good time to give it. It's probably not going to be effective if you're still mad at them, or if you're stressed, running behind, or short of time. All those feelings will leak out of you and be picked up. 3, know the other person. What's important to them? What's their personality like? How best to approach them to get them to listen to you? Of course, there are going to be many instances when you don't know the other person very well, if at all, who you want to give feedback to. But if you do know them, make the most of that knowledge and relationship. 4, the setting. Generally, people want this to take place in a private space. If someone feels shown up in front of others, it's not going to go down well. They could feel exposed, humiliated, embarrassed. 5, timing is equally important. You don't want to tell someone on Friday afternoon as you're leaving the office that you've got feedback for them and you'll talk to them about it on Monday. Imagine how that leaves them feeling over the weekend. 6, keep it brief. You certainly want to aim to give feedback using this model in about 15 seconds, certainly no more than 20, as the receiver will be formulating their response and will stop listening to what you're saying. So let's break down the model. A, for action. This refers to what the person did, their behavior. The model can break down at this stage very quickly if you use judgment here to describe their behavior. If you say to someone, "You ignored me," they might deny that, and it can become a to and fro. Yes, you did. No, I didn't scenario. But if you say, "You had your back to me," they can't argue with that if that indeed was the case. Likewise, we can argue the toss if you say, "I was rude or aggressive." We all have different perceptions of what that means. But if you say, "You didn't let me finish," or "You spoke over her," then you're sticking to the facts which both people can agree on. Subjective judgments can also get people's backs up. If someone tells you to your face you were rude, unhelpful, and disinterested, you're not likely going to take kindly to that. In fact, you might well get defensive or even go on the attack in response. If you make a comment about someone's character or personality, that is more likely to hurt rather than a comment about behaviour, which is a temporary action and less sensitive. You don't want to fire an arrow into someone's heart. So the key at this first stage is to keep what you say objective and evidence-based. Rather than call someone aggressive, you could say they were speaking loudly and pointing, for instance, if that is indeed the behaviour they were demonstrating. It's hard for someone to deny it when it is fact. I is for impact. This is the effect their behaviour had on someone or something. For example, the impact was she couldn't deliver her report on time, or he didn't come to the event, whatever it may be. It's important to steer clear from hypotheticals for the impact. For instance, you might end up getting hurt, or we could miss the deadline. Again, this can be argued with very easily. Stick to the facts of the impact. At this stage, you can also add in your own feelings, how you feel about their behaviour. For instance, "I'm worried about the impact this will have on the team," or "I'm concerned for your safety." It's quite common to see people skip this essential second step. People, and you see it at a management level, identify the issue or problem behaviour and tell you the solution. People, managers, they're fixers. The middle step of impact is vital for the person to understand why the solution must happen. It can often be simply overlooked because the manager has seen this issue before, they know the answer, so time is money, they just tell you, but you miss a crucial element to feedback. D is what you want them to do as a result of this feedback. It might mean continue as before if something is going well, or to do something differently in order to improve and get a better outcome. Whilst the word feedback can send shivers down your spine, both as the person giving it or on the receiving end, if you only ever give negative or the more polite developmental or constructive feedback, the other person is going to have a difficult relationship with the word. However, feedback can also be positive, and with this, you'll build trust and they're more likely to welcome and hear the constructive. Research indicates that you need to give about 5 positive comments to 1 negative in order to maintain that healthy, balanced relationship. We can class feedback as motivational or developmental, and high-performing individuals also need feedback, even though they have less areas to grow. An example of positive feedback with this model might be A, you got that report done ahead of time. I, the impact, the board appreciated the level of detail and were able to act quickly. D, keep up the impressive work. Feedback is a lot more commonplace now and expected in business. We hear of 360 feedback and peer-to-peer feedback. The more it is part of normal everyday work, the easier it will be to give and receive. Once you've delivered feedback, positive or negative, it's just the starter of a conversation. So you want to then use an open question at the end to invite a response, so the model then becomes an 8-0 with an O on the end. One final point to remember in giving feedback is to keep it natural. Be careful that it doesn't feel like you're going through a step-by-step model. So, in summary, 1, intention. Give feedback from the right place. 2, keep the description evidence-based and specific, not judgmental. 3, don't skip the impact. 4, open the conversation up at the end and check understanding.